My name is Stephen Litton, born in Lytton in 1955. I was born with cerebral palsy. The doctors didn't know that because they didn't have the tools at the time to really diagnose what the problem was. The doctors were told, oh, this situation will go away. They waited and waited and waited. The situation didn't change at all. I didn't start walking until I was at the age of 10. I spent majority of the time in hospitals during the summer. Lytton looked like a desert oasis in an oven. Bitter, sweet winter, chill in the winter. My mother was a single parent. She was the mother, father, uncle, brother, sister, friend, who raised 7 brothers, 5 sisters, or maybe it's vice versa. Anyway, she was an ally, but she was the foundation of who we are. I thought I was brought to residential school in 1961. Not knowing what was going to happen, our mother having left us at the doors of the residence and not explaining the situation. We had to eventually go inside and do what we needed to do to get ourselves settled. I learned that I didn't learn very much. We weren't taught what we were needed to be taught in order to move forward in life. Would there be a possibility of starting over one more time? My name is Stephen Litton. I'm from the Interior Salish Thompson and Tleketlan First Nations. I was maybe not even 6, 7 years old in residential school. I had a lot of care from the intermediate and senior women of the residential school. We'd go for walks and they'd piggyback me to and from the meadow. So the only way that they can really escape was to do it through the walks. That bonding, that was normally a mother's or an aunt's or a sister's responsibility or way of showing love. The love and the connecting was a key component to our survivals. One of the things I found in the residential school, when you have a disability, you weren't treated very much differently. In the residential school during my time, which was 1961 to 1974, there were no nuns. That was a different time. That was my mother's time. We had supervisors. They were no different. Sometimes maybe worse. Myself, having a disability, you've had to rely more on a lot of friends to look after you, to protect you. And you're more vulnerable. The biggest secret was trying to balance and look at the sexual abuses that went on. We didn't hear about that till later on. Only after the residential school experience was over, you've heard about the horror stories of how they were molested by the priest, by those in authority, by other students misusing their power or their responsibilities. And so there was a hush-hush, quiet quietness, and everybody kept in themselves and learned how to adapt and hide that. That was the hardest and cruelest thing. A child not able to go to somebody to tell them that they were abused physically, sexually, emotionally, psychologically. There was no one to turn to. Who could you trust? I was sexually abused. Having a disability, I couldn't protect myself. Didn't have the strength. And when you're abused, your abuser doesn't want you to see their face. So they have you face down on the pillow. And they have you stretched out. And then they begin their assault and their sodomizing of you. And I used to think, wow. I didn't think it was a problem at the time, but I knew something awful happened. And I thought, at the time, I thought it was what everybody went through. And a lot of the times is you feel the pleasure of sex, but you don't really realize that it was wrong. Was it pleasure or was it rape? And it happens to this day for a lot of us because we can't change the mindset. I learned that being an individual with a disability, you never had the opportunity to know how to relate, how to communicate, how to have companionship, how to dialogue. So we weren't taught that in school. When it came to developing relationships with women, later on in life, you learned you were far behind. I was an adult, but a child in an adult's body and a child's mind. Some of the walls that I built up was more damning to me than a protection. I didn't know the language of connecting and the language of love. And now I'm learning through those women that do care for me. They're blunt, straightforward, and honest and direct. They tell it like it is. They care for you, but they're not going to waste their time. If you don't know, then they're gone. How do you relate? How do you address your sexuality? How do you address your spirituality? How do you continue moving forward without counseling? How do you continue moving forward with counseling? What do you address? How much pain do you have to bring out in order to stop the bleeding? How do I relate to humanity? How do I share my love? How do I share what needs to be shared with our people? I'm so tired of surviving that I forgot how to live. Honoring and loving yourself. We have to do it for the babies of the future. We have to do it for our youth through language, respect, honor, and love. My name is Stephen Litton, in Tla'aquep'in First Nations.
Yeah, man, why you trying to put me down? Keep them on. Don't you dare take them off.
Okay, let's do that again.
All right, one more time.
One more time.
All right.